Good morning. This is Rachel with Infused Meadows, and I need to make a chocolate cake for someone. So I thought, why not show you how I make my cake? This is not my recipe. I got this recipe from my mama, and I have asked if I can use her recipes, and she said go for it. So I'm going for it. To my bowl, we've got one bowl for wet ingredients, one bowl for dry ingredients. Dry, I'm adding 2 cups of flour, we will have it 2.5 cups of sugar. This is a 1/2 cup measure. So there's a half, 1, a half, 2.5. I already have measured out 3/4 a cup of cocoa powder. And then we are going to go in with 2 teaspoons of baking soda. 1, 2, 1 teaspoon of baking powder. And then because I don't like to cross-contaminate, I'm going to use my 1/2 teaspoon measure for my salt. And we're going to add 1 teaspoon of salt. So I'm going to do this twice. There's 1 and 2. Alright, we want to whisk this together very well until that cocoa is completely incorporated. Try to get out all of the lumps. You could sift this if you want to. I'm not. My flour is always sifted before I put it into its container. And my flour doesn't it doesn't tend to set longer than like 2 weeks. So I just take my butter knife, as you've seen, and I just fluff that up and then measure it. Make sure you run your whisk along that bottom because sometimes your flour or your sugar will settle down there, creating a little patch of non-combined anywhere. So just make sure you whisk it really well and get all your lumps out. Okay, I'm going to move all this stuff and then we'll be back with the wet ingredients. Okay, so wet ingredients are going to be 1 cup of room temperature buttermilk. And there are substitutes out there for buttermilk, which one day I'll do a video on them. I'm not going to go over it right now. So 1 cup of buttermilk, 1 cup of oil. Now you can probably just do a cup of butter if you want to do half and half. I do all. That's what my mom does, and that's what I'm doing. And her cake is just wonderful. So I'm not going to change anything. To this, we're now going to add 3 large eggs, one at a time. You could use a fork for this. You can use your hand mixer if you just want to. My mama does everything with a spatula, and her cakes always turn out good. So I'm doing exactly what I've seen her do. Second egg going in. And yes, you can crack your eggs in a separate bowl if you want to. Third egg going in. Now I have my oven preheating to 350 degrees Fahrenheit or 175 Celsius. Make sure that everything is nice and combined, and then you want to add 1 cup of coffee. Now this is not hot. It is slightly warm because I've had coffee this morning, but I turned around and had to make more just for this because I'm making this, and then I'm gonna turn around and make the icing. Sorry, I think everybody's now calling it frosting. So I'm making the icing to go with it. So that's nice and combined. Now we're gonna add our dry ingredients. No. 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla. It's like that moment you catch yourself. Yeah. So I got my half teaspoon because my teaspoon, it's over there, I see it. So 3 of these because it's a half. Alright, 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla. And we're going to give that another mix. Okay, now we want to add our dry ingredients. I'm going to do about half. Honestly, though, I think that my mom may just dump the whole thing in. I helped her make this cake last year when I was home. But yeah, we were doing so many other good things, I forgot. That's sad. Alright, and then the other half. And I don't know if you can see it, but you can tell I missed some flour. It'll get mixed in now. Okay, I'm going to pause this just so I can get everything moved over. Alright, we're going to pour our batter. This is a 9 by 13 pan. And I know some people will tell you, oh, you need to use this and you need to use that. You use the cocoa powder that you like. You use, well, I did use plain all-purpose flour. So it's just what I'm using is what my mom uses. And like I said, her cake, I think it turns out absolutely fantastic. So, all right. That's poured in, 9 by 13 pan. We are going to slide this into our hot oven. Like I said, 350 degrees Fahrenheit or 175 Celsius. And we are going to bake this between 40 and 45 minutes. And how you can tell, my mom does a thump test. She just taps the batter, and if it bounces back, you're done. Sinks in, not done. I toothpick test because I don't trust my thump test. So you just stick a toothpick in the center, and if it comes out moist or, you know, just a few crumbs, like just moist crumbs, you're done. If it comes out with batter on it, you are not done. Put it back in. All right, so I'm going to put this in the oven, and we'll be back. All right, let's get our icing together. We want 2 cups of sugar into a bowl. Now this is going to go from the bowl to the pot. There's our 2 cups of sugar. And in case I didn't mention it with the cake, it's plain flour or all-purpose, you know, depending on where you're at in the world for that. It will be like we've been doing, me and my husband have been putting the recipe cards down, so that I think you can click on that and it will give you the recipe. Hopefully you can print that out. If nothing else, good old-fashioned handwriting or copy and paste and print. Anyway, so we have our 2 cups of sugar into our bowl. To this we want to add 2/3 a cup of cornstarch. To this we want to add a 1/2 cup of cocoa powder. I know there's the tink tink tink. I like to make sure I get everything out of there. And to this we want to add a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. So there's our 1/2 teaspoon. Now, just like with the cake, we want to go in and whisk and make sure that this is well combined. It'll help it to come together in your pot. So you want to whisk this and get all of those lumps and clumps out. And unlike with the cake, make sure that you do a really good scrape down. Try to get any cornstarch or sugar that could have evaded your whisk and gone to the bottom. Don't do like me on the last one. I mean, you've seen it's fun. I'm just joking. Anyway, so we get this nice and combined. And then I'm going to pause and we'll be back in just a second. Okay, so we're on our stovetop, which I've been asked about. So let me explain. This is gas. For those that are asking, this is a gas stovetop. So with this one, at least, my very front left is more for like a wok, or it's perfect for when I'm canning. It's a double flame, so it's a lot hotter. This is the only one on this one because you have this tiny little front, you have like a medium one in the back left, and then this one over here is the best one for my slightly bigger pots because it hits more of the bottom instead of putting the flame dead center. So I hope that answers that question. Okay, so to this, I've got my mixture in there, which I've already told you about. I'm going to add in 2 cups of coffee. Now this is not hot coffee, it is slightly warm. Okay. 1 second. Now what we want to do now is we're going to go ahead and turn this on, roughly a medium heat. That. And we are going to start whisking this. Now this does not take long. It will start to thicken up. Don't walk away. Whisk the whole time. You'll notice a lot of what I do has you working out pretty much the whole time. Speaking of which, if I do have time today, I need to make some fudge for somebody. So I thought I would do a video for that. It's just going to be chocolate fudge. So anyway, we are going to whisk this until you start to feel it thicken. And you will feel it in your whisk. That cornstarch is going to help you out. It'll thicken, and then as soon as it's done, we're going to add in 6 tablespoons of room temperature butter, and you're going to whisk that in. And then that's it. That's your icing. And I personally love this icing. I am not big on icing, frosting. There's a lot of it I just don't care for. Love ganache. I think that that's just a beautiful icing. And then there's this one. And then eventually I'll make my mama's lemon cake. It's probably the only other cake that I actually like the icing to, and the actual cake. I'm not a big cake eater though, so it is what it is. We're all different. That's the joy of it. If we were all the same, life might be a little boring. Okay, my mixture kind of poofed all over the place. Let's knock that down. All right. So if you don't want to add the coffee, you can do 2 cups of water. You could do 1 cup of water, 1 cup of coffee. I like the coffee. Now if you add water, then at least add 1 teaspoon of like espresso powder or that instant coffee, because the coffee helps to really enhance that chocolate. Like a lot. It's really nice. Sorry, I'm leaving this going so that you can see basically how long it takes in real time. Excuse me. Excuse me. My water is like way over there, so I'm getting dry throat. It happens. Dead silence, I know. I'm sorry. I'm not sure if people just want me to talk the whole time or not. Don't have stories. I'm not really... I don't see the point in telling you stories anyway. It's about the food. Okay, so the only reason I'm keeping this going is because I just want you to see that, you know, we go from thin, runny, to it's actually going to change, you know, when it happens, it's fairly quick. And it's already thickening up. You can't hear it sloshing as much. And I can feel it starting to change in the whisk. And so once I get it just a little bit thicker than what it is right now, then that's when I'm going to pull it off the heat. And I'll show you the consistency that I get mine to. This is kind of like a pudding icing, I think. It's probably why I like it, to be honest with you. It's not like your typical icings. Okay, we are thickening up. So I am going to take that off the heat. And like I said, it happens fast, as you can see. There we go. That is exactly what we want. And as you can see, piping hot. So what we're going to do now is we are going to add those 6 tablespoons of butter that I told you about. All right. So all you want to do is whisk your butter in. I'm more of a counterclockwise kind of person. I don't know why. And you can see it's gone from that really shiny gloss down to basically a duller gloss. You want to make sure you get that all incorporated. There we go. And you have icing, frosting, whatever you call it. I call it icing. And now all I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and put this into another bowl and out of this because, you know, this is still hot. Now, anytime, I probably should have mentioned this in other videos, anytime you see me doing something on the stove, heavy bottom pot. That is to make sure that your heat evenly distributes and you don't end up scorching or burning or ruining in any way, shape, or form, you know, whatever it is that you're making. So it's just something you learn along the way. So hopefully this helps you learn that now. All right, I'm going to get this dealt with and we'll be back. Okay, so you ever do something, think you did something, find out you didn't? That was me. I thought I hit unpause so that you could see me test the center with a toothpick. I didn't realize I did not unpause until I looked up to pause so that the cake could cool. But here we are. Anyway, all you'll do is take a toothpick, stick it in the center. If it comes out, you know, with dough or batter all over it, it's not done. I will recommend starting to check your cake around 35 minutes. I started smelling mine And if you know, you know. There is a smell difference. I started smelling it at 35 minutes, and so when I checked it, it was ready to go. So I would recommend checking yours at 35 minutes, depending on your oven. And then once it cools down to room temperature, go ahead and put your icing on. Now, to let it cool is going to take anywhere from at least 45 minutes to an hour. Mine needed about an hour. It's still slightly warm on the bottom, but it's cool enough to touch. Like I said, it's just slightly warm on the bottom. You see my icing? I don't do anything fancy. I'm not going to cut into this. This is not for me. This is for a birthday. So you know what? Happy birthday to him. And if today is your birthday, then let me just go ahead and say happy birthday to you. And as always, I hope you give this a try. And if you don't like it, there are plenty of recipes out there. So I hope you find the one that you do like. And as I've always said, I hope you have a wonderful day.